So do you want to start, Yale?
Yeah. So I'm Yale, this is Nick.
Oh, yeah.
And we've been working together since 2005. And we have a company called Flexor in Sandyland. Luke is here. He's one of our dancers and collaborators. And we together create live and digital work. So live work that usually tours to stages, but also we make digital work for sites, for mobile phones, for screens, and for galleries. So we're going to give you a little taster of the things we do today. And Keen has asked us to talk about 3 specific works. One is Acting Our Age, which is a work we were going to make, but then COVID happened, so we didn't get to quite do it. A digital work called Gravity Shift, and Disappearing Acts, which is a work we made in 2016. So I'm going to start with Acting Our Age. So Acting Our Age really came about through a choreographer called Galit Lis. She's based in Israel, and she works with dancers over the age of 60, female dancers, I should say. And we've been friends for a very long time and wanted to make a work together. And this seemed like the right time somehow to do it. Mostly because since, I guess, 2014, I've started to work more and more with older movers, different companies based around the UK. And I just found this work incredibly moving and really, it touched me somehow really deeply. Just because the kind of group was people that had a sense of life, and I felt they could deal with really complex concepts, which maybe with younger students is a little bit harder to do. And also the sense of touch became really layered in terms of meaning. And I guess it coincided with my mum having dementia as well, and eventually dying. So it just felt like a really good time for me also in terms of my own aging body to enter that subject matter. And because Galit is such a fantastic expert, if you like, it was a really good time for us to come together. So we did a very short R&D, which is research. And because we wanted to bring the companies together, we decided to bring 2 of the dancers that she's worked with for a long time. One is 64, one is 75. And I brought some of my dancers. The others all had babies at the same time, so they couldn't quite join us. And so we decided to go for a more intergenerational company. So we had Corey, who's 23, I think, who's was a student of mine and just graduated. And also Fiona Millward. Some of you might have done our classes, so I've seen her there. She's in her mid-50s, and she was one of my first company members. So it was such a great opportunity to bring her back. Maybe we'll show a little bit of a video, just to document a few photos really from the process, and then I'll talk a bit more.
My name is Orit Gross. I'm 64. So I know Galit Lis in the last 10 years. When I was 55, I joined one of her workshops. And since then, we do some works together. And that's how she invited me to join this unique work. In a way, it was intensive, but the intensiveness, I think, was very good to the process. We had to work quickly, and things came up amazingly. Very many things came up to work with during these days. Personally, although my age, I did it, and I'm glad. I wish sometimes I was younger and could do more. And one of the things is we did not know each other, at least half of the group, and I felt immediately a very, very good connection, trust. Otherwise, I will not be able to feel good and allow myself to be here. Everyone is present and really target-oriented. So this is a unique group.
So that gives you a little snippet of that. But I guess what was interesting about the process is that I normally come into a process with, yes, quite a lot of ideas, but with movement tasks. And we start somehow from the body. And we did do that. But Galit works in a really different way. And she really brings conversations and questions into the room. And then as a group, we would try and answer them. And it became very emotional. It was quite, as she says, quite intense. And I guess some of the things that came up was around some dancers maybe feeling inadequate. Fiona talked about how, with age, because so much of dance is about the young body, that she doesn't want to be seen, or she's questioning whether she should be on stage, for example. Or Orit, the woman you saw in the video, talked about how she was never really allowed to pursue her dream of being a dancer when she was young. And so there's really still a kind of deep wound for her there. And she actually only really started to perform in her 60s, but now she's performing all the time. And not only with Galit, she's become a professional. So it's really interesting. And Corey talked a little bit about some of the fears of not being able to realize her dream. She's at the start of her career, and also the kind of judgment that comes with auditions and things like that. So really kind of very personal themes came through, and we started to craft, or we're going to craft, some solos from this place. And we also worked with duets, and you saw a little bit with Luke there and Orit. So for some of the older performers, that was very new, just to work with touch, and opened a lot of places. So again, that's another way of forming some of the material. And as Orit says in the video, it became very quickly a kind of familial environment. Like, we felt very related and very close. And I thought that was quite unique and quite different to normal processes where people tend to be around the same age, not entirely, but so those are some of the process experience. And then some of the themes that came through, and part of that was through Wendy Houston, who we've worked with for quite a long time.
Regularly, yeah.
And the way we work with her is we kind of open an idea or a concept, and then invite her to respond to it. And she wrote a lot around ghosts, and you saw some images with the T-shirt over the head. So she was talking about the theatre ghost, which is a kind of superstition where theatres tend to leave the light on for the theatre ghost. But it felt kind of poignant in the sense of this, the fact that the older body in dance is very rarely represented and becomes a kind of ghost, but also the spectres of our past pieces that we might have been in or might have performed, and how our personal and collective histories have these ghosts in them that inform who we are today. So those are some of the things we've started to touch on, but obviously we still need to make it. But it gives a sense of how we work, perhaps. I think we're going to move on to Gravity Shift.
Okay, sure. Okay. So we're trying to fit three pieces in that are very different, and I'm trying to tie these things together. As Yale said, I'm the digital one. I'm very digital. I do move as well. I do other things, but at the moment I seem to be in the digital realm, and I have to contend with that. The piece that I'm going to talk about is Gravity Shift, which is a video installation. We made it about 8 years ago. Luke is in fact in the piece, aren't you, Luke? I think you are in the piece. I don't know if you've got it on whatever this view is called. Luke is nodding there and moving around, and you'll see why he's moving around in a minute. I'm going to show you some slides. I apologise, it's a little bit slide heavy, this, because I used to do this as a presentation, but I'll try and jump between the slides and me, but let's see how it goes.